Now look, I know that the upcoming Samsung Unpacked event coming in just a few short days on August 10th is not going to have anything to do with the S23 Ultra. In fact, it's definitely going to be announcing the Z Flip 4 and the Z Fold 4, although maybe not, because maybe they're not going to be called Z anything. Maybe they're just the Flip 4 and the Fold 4, which I think is a great idea. Get rid of the Z. We don't need it. Get the Z out of here. Fold 4 sounds even better. But in this video, we are going to be talking about the upcoming flagship, probably something we're going to see early next year from Samsung, the S23 Ultra. And the reason we're talking about it today is because we have some specs being leaked here on the internet by One Ice Universe, and it points towards some pretty massive changes in terms of the cameras on the S23 Ultra. Let's go to Twitter where I've kind of organized this. The S23 Ultra, according to Ice Universe, is set to see a significant change in terms of the camera layout. The biggest move appears to be a shift to a 200 megapixel sensor with 0.6 micrometer pixels. 200 megapixels. Now, obviously, the current S22 Ultra, and they've done this for a little bit now, it has a main camera that is 108 megapixels with 0.8 micrometer pixels. So this 200 megapixel one is higher resolution, but the pixels themselves are smaller. And of course, pixel size makes a really big difference, right? The bigger the pixel, the more light it can actually take in. This helps with autofocus, with shutter speed, with low light, with clarity, with detail, on and on and on and on. Bigger pixels are generally better. Now, you may know that 108 megapixel sensor, when you take a picture with the S23 Ultra, you don't get a 108 megapixel image, because that would be way larger than any human being would ever possibly need or want. In the case of the S22 Ultra, they take like 9 pixels and they group them together. So they're 0.8 micrometers, but they group 9 of them together and they bin them. That's what that's called. And so by doing that, you take 108, you divide it by 9, and you get a 12 megapixel output for the actual pictures that you take. Why do they do this? Well, because they are effectively creating much larger pixels. So the output of the image is still 12 megapixels, which is still very high resolution. And in fact, if you wanted to make a print of these things, you go to Google Photos and you go to have them print these things out and mail it to you, you could have a really big print, a print bigger than you're probably ever going to need. 108 is ridiculous. So 12 is great. And by doing this, again, like I said, you have physically small pixels that are grouped into actually quite large pixels. In fact, if you take the fact that they are 0.8 micrometers, let's do some quick math here. Multiply that by 9, well, you get like 7.2 micrometer pixels. Those are absolutely massive. So if this is true and Samsung is actually going to use a 200 megapixel sensor in the S23 Ultra, and we assume that they're going to keep a 12 megapixel output, we take 200, we divide it by 12, and we multiply that times the 0.6 micrometer pixels, you get, effectively a 10 micrometer pixel in that binned kind of layout. So we're going to get effectively larger and larger pixels, and this only bodes well for what they're going to be doing with this camera. That's just going to lead to better clarity, faster shutter, all these things I mentioned earlier. Bigger seemingly is better. Now, where are we getting this information from? Obviously, Ice Universe leaked this stuff, but his more specific claim is that they're going to be using the HP2 sensor. Now, this is actually really interesting because Samsung has announced an HP1, and then they announced the HP3, but they never announced an HP2. That is quite odd, right? You can see some specs here on the screen. Well, Ice Universe said it's going to be an unreleased HP2. That's maybe why they didn't announce it, because they didn't want to announce it, because it's going to be in their next flagship phones. They're kind of keeping the wraps on it, perhaps. Perhaps it wasn't fully ready yet. They were still tweaking it. Odd that they moved on to the 3. Very strange situation, but again, makes some sense. They never announced the 2. Maybe this is why. Now, of course, a big piece of this is, speculation is how they're going to bin this thing. I simply just assume it'll be a 12 megapixel output. Probably that's going to be the case, but they could even go crazy and have a larger output and keep the, simulated pixel sizes really big and still have an even higher resolution output if they wanted to do that. It gives them a lot of flexibility. This is also really interesting to me when you compare it to something like what Xiaomi just released with their 12S Ultra, because their sensor isn't 200 megapixels, it's only 50, but it has massive pixels already because it is a massive sensor. That sensor will be bigger than the HP2, but lower resolution. So what they're doing here, Samsung, having basically squeezing a ton of tiny little pixels into that space and then bending them, kind of the opposite approach of what Sony and Xiaomi were doing over there with having just physically larger pixels to start off with. And then guess what? They're still bending those too. So they're still getting massive pixels. And already physically larger pixels are still better than bend pixels as far as I've read. Even though you can bend them and get to the same size, the ones that are actually that size naturally apparently do a bit of a better job. So there's a back and forth here, a give and a take, right? There's two different ways to get to the promised land of great photography. It's also important to note here as we kind of close this thing down that there are rumors that the S23 Ultra will be running the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which will see further efficiency improvements. We saw the 8 Plus Gen 1 get a lot more efficient and help with the battery life. Well, apparently the Gen 2 is going to further that even more, and they are going to continue packing in a massive 5,000 milliamp hour battery. This is something that was actually posted on Weibo. I'll never know how to say this website, but this is where it was posted, translated over. That is what the actual text there said. So if this is all true, the S23 Ultra looks like it's going to be another absolute banger of a device with one of the craziest camera setups on the market. We just saw, like I said, the Xiaomi 12S Ultra come out with the craziest camera setup on the market. Here comes Samsung with their own way of doing things. I love the diversity of this. I love the different approaches to this sort of the problem of making better and better cameras, and I cannot wait to see if this is true, how the actual results will stack up to what Xiaomi has and stack up against the rest of the market. Guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe or maybe hit that join button down below to help directly support the channel. I'll see you on the next one, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.